Unclean. I hated that word. It reminded me every minute of every hour of every day that everything I lay on, sat on, or touched had to be cleaned because I was soiled, dirty, unclean. The word taunted me, telling me that at the very core of who I was, something was wrong, very wrong. I knew it. Everyone knew it. And I couldn't blame people for turning away. I couldn't blame my family, my friends for leaving me. After all, if they touched me, they would become unclean too, and I wouldn't wish that curse on anyone. The day the bleeding started, I thought the doctors would be able to help me, so I gave him money and he gave me medicine. But still, I kept bleeding. So I went to another and another and another and another and another and another and another until I had no money left. Some say I was foolish, that I threw my money away. But what's money to me? I didn't want money. I wanted a family. I wanted friends. I wanted to be able to walk down the street, to look people in the eye and be able to talk with them, be with them. But with no money left, I figured it would never happen. Then one day, I was at the edge of the village, watching the women, wishing I could join in, when I heard them talking about this teacher who had been healing people and had done all sorts of miracles. And he had healed a paralytic man. And I thought, if he could make a man walk, maybe he could make my bleeding stop. And he was coming to our village. Would you believe that when he arrived, I almost didn't go? The bleeding had been bad the night before, and I was weak and tired, and I didn't know if I could make it out my door. But I decided I had to at least try. There were so many people, and I knew that as I touched them, I was making them unclean, but I pressed forward. I had to. I kept my head covered and low and focused on getting to the teacher. There was talk about this community leader who needed the teacher to heal his daughter. I was no leader, and a woman at that. Certainly had better things to do than help me. Besides, I didn't really want him to notice me anyway. But I could see his coat move as I walked. And I thought, if I can just touch it, it would make me well. It had to. When I got to him, his back was to me. So I reached out, but the crowd pushed me back, and I missed. I reached again, and for the briefest moments, I touched it. I felt a surge go through me, and I knew the bleeding had stopped. But then he turned around and asked, "Who touched me?" One of his followers tried to tell him there was no way to know who touched him with all the people. But I knew that he knew. I had made him and many others unclean. I would have to face the consequences. So I fell at his feet, told him the story, and waited. He didn't rebuke me as I expected. Instead, he said the most amazing thing. He said, "Daughter." He called me daughter. After all these years of not having a family, he called me as one of his own. And then he said, "Your faith has made you well." My faith? Me? And from that moment, I knew I had something to offer. I was someone. I was clean.